First, Biden's SOS to the press. That's the focus of tonight's angle. All right, for months, they tried to sell you a new comeback kid story.
Biden seems to have some momentum. I mean, the race is very close.
A brand new NBC News poll appears to show the race tightening and Biden momentum gaining.
The trend with all of the other national polls is that the race is tightening.
Oh, really? Well, media reports insisted that enthusiasm was building.
The Biden campaign hit record fundraising numbers. In the 24 hours after Biden's remarks, his re-election campaign raked in $10 million.
A record-breaking campaign fundraiser. The event pulled in a staggering $25 million.
Even before Thursday's historic haul, Biden had more than twice the cash on hand as Trump.
I mean, of course, celebs and influencers were gearing up to take down Trump.
Imagine if he actually did win the election.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
We're going to have such civil strife. We're going to have all the things he says because everybody's now on to him where he projects what he's saying.
Yeah.
It's what he wants, what he envisions the world to be, which is chaos and craziness, total craziness.
Don't go taxi driver on us there, Bobby. And when it was obvious that the polls really weren't turning around at all, Joe Biden decided to criticize the pollsters.
The polling data has been wrong all along. You know, how many you guys do a poll at CNN? How many folks you have to call to get one response?
But today we learned a few new things about the true state of the Biden campaign. The fact that they decided to abandon the usual debate format that they were demanding and take up Trump's call for earlier debates, well, that shows that they think they need a game changer. And they hope that they will get it with the help of two CNN anchors who we learned today will be the ones who are actually moderating the first debate. One believes that electing Trump would be anti-democratic.
Donald Trump has demonized us. There just needs to be a civic awareness where people understand the stakes when it comes to these elections. And this isn't partisan. This has everything to do with his disdain for democracy.
The other believes, well, you can decide what she believes.
Insults, invective, and outright lies. That's what we heard from Donald Trump defending those who rioted and tried to stop the peaceful transfer of power. People egged on by Donald Trump.
Biden accompanied his sudden change of heart about the debates with a really intimidating Rocky Balboa-style tough guy video.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. And since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
That video was, what, 14 seconds long? And they still had to edit him. Has someone warned Joe that you can't edit live broadcasts? The Biden team is nervous, and one of their go-to House media organs, Slate, is also sending up a signal flare warning that Democrats can't keep rationalizing away one crucial element of the race, that Biden does better with people who are most likely to vote, because new polling shows that that's not true. And this is my favorite part of all. If the question is, how bad is this really? The answer is pretty bad. And there are similar warnings across the press landscape, such that it is. And as we'll get to later on, some building momentum out there to swap Biden out and Kamala and run another ticket entirely. Now, it's so bad for them that they're actually willing to put Biden in the evening on a debate stage to go toe-to-toe with Trump, which is going to be tough considering Biden has trouble going toe-to-toe with stairs. Look, if we had a real press corps, we would know for sure what specifically triggered the Biden campaign's turnabout. You can imagine big donors, Dr. Jill, were demanding answers from campaign staff about these polls. You can maybe picture Schumer seeing the Senate majority hanging by a thread. I bet Pelosi and the squad, they're blowing gaskets. And the Obamas and the Clintons, oh, they're not happy. Whatever it is, there must have been some meeting where Biden's Wilmington Brain Trust heard that if there wasn't a major shakeup, Biden was going to certainly go down in defeat. Now, consider the evidence. Just in the past few days, Biden suddenly, after 3.5 years in office, we're supposed to believe had a change of heart on China tariffs? Well, then there's the new tough border policy that they always leak to the press that never materializes. And then he jumps, to Trump's debate position, after all along saying that he wanted the traditional style with the later schedule. And then also today, we learn that the old Clinton counselor, Ron Klain, who helped prepare Biden for his last debates, is coming back for a short stint to do debate prep with Biden again. He's now a top exec at Airbnb, and Klain, look, he's a very talented guy. I know him to say hi. He has a lot of political experience, but he's not God. My bet is that the best he can do for Biden is maybe get him to memorize a bunch of insults that he can throw at Trump. But I think that's just going to confuse the poor man. So I hope Klain and Dr. Jill have been practicing their ventriloquism.
There will always be doubters.
I don't want to forget, Mother. I think we should show this boy just how real I am. I'm just as real as him.
No, I'm afraid we must go on with the show.
No, I'm as real as you are, and I'll show
alone,
you.
Billy.
I'll show him what it's
Listen
like,
to me,
Mother.
that's enough.
I'm as real as you.
More.
Bring him up here.
I just played that because that's terrifying. All right, if the Biden team had real confidence in their candidate, they wouldn't have to worry about putting words in his mouth. They just would have scheduled the first debate later in the summer because that's what successful incumbents do. But they want to give themselves plenty of time to turn things around in case the first debate goes badly for Biden, which it will if Trump plays his cards right. In 2016 and 2020, remember, there was a real debate in the nation as to who would do better on issues like jobs and the economy, foreign policy, immigration. But that debate is over. Everyone with a brain knows that Trump did and will do a far better job. Trump doesn't really have to spend a lot of time on how corrupt the government is. People have seen how corrupt it is, or how terrible the DOJ is to try to put him in jail. We all see it. Most voters know why they're going after Trump. So all Donald Trump has to do is stay calm during the entire debate and let Biden rant and rave because Scranton Joe's looking and sounding meaner and more petty by the day. And then Trump, by comparison, he easily appears presidential, cool, confident, and possessing a lot of common sense. Just reassure everyone, even those suburban moms out there, that there are happier days ahead. Reassure the nation that the craziness, the wokeness, the unnecessary economic struggle, the perpetual war, that's all going to be over. And maybe toss out a few zingers. Joe, you've been president for almost 4 years, and all you can do is promise people more abortions while you're wearing aviators? Wow. Maybe just debate, but don't take the bait. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.